Hello, welcome to the Self Learning Podcast by Dr. Sushma Singh. Let us start discussion on Unit 5 Inequality, Caste and Class. And our topic is the nature of caste inequalities in India. Caste is the most contentious issue that has fascinated and divided scholars who have wished to study this system of stratified social hierarchy in India. There is an enormous body of academic writing and political polemic on the issue. These are basically the part of debate on the transformation of Indian society under the impact of colonialism and its administrative mechanisms. Some argue for the continuities of pre-colonial social structures including caste. Others stress the basic qualitative changes introduced by the colonial rulers. Louis Dumont, the French scholar and the writer of a famous book on caste, Homo Harkadius, constructed a textually informed image of caste. In this image, two opposing conceptual categories of purity and pollution are the core elements of the caste structure. These unique core principles of caste hierarchy, according to Dumont, are observed in the spiritual formation as well as the everyday life of all Hindus. In other words, these values separate Indians culturally from the Western civilization, making India a land of static, unchangeable, Oriental, Brahmanical values. This notion of caste has been challenged by the Nicholas Dix and others. Dumount's notation was criticized as it failed to explain the social change, dynamism, and the individualistic strivings even within the traditional Indian society. Gerald Berryman pointed out that the principle of Brahmanical hierarchy was not uniformly followed by all Hindus. He also criticized the Dumontian notion that the power and economic factors are distinct and epistemological to caste. It has been pointed out by others that the caste hierarchy is not a fixed hierarchy. Rather, it is a context specific and fluid and contains seeds of contestation among various castes. Nicholas Dix cites ethnographic and textual evidence to demonstrate that Brahmins and their texts were not so central to the social fabric of Indian life. According to this view, power relations and command over men and resources were more important. Brahmins were merely ritual specialists, often subordinate to powerful ruling families. The caste-based scriptures or Brahmanical model of traditional India was an intervention of the British Orientalists and ethnographers, according to this view. However, caste played a very critical role in the Indian social reformers and nationalist perception of the caste. It was certainly not a mere product of British imagination. Now let us move to the next point, caste as the invention of colonial modernity or a legacy of Brahmanical traditions. As we hinted above, two opposing viewpoints see caste differently. Some view it as an unchanged survival of Brahminical traditions of India. According to this view, the Brahmanism represents a core civilizational value, and caste is the central symbol of this value. It is a basic expression of the pre-colonial traditions of India. Contrary to this view, Nicholas Dix, in his Caste of Mind, argues that the caste is a product of colonial modernity. By this, he does not mean that the caste did not exist before the advent of British. He is simply suggesting that the caste became a single unique category under the British rule that expressed and provided the sole index of understanding India. Earlier, there were diverse forms of social identity and community in India. The British reduced everything to a single explanatory category of caste. It was the colonial state and its administrators who made caste into a uniform, all encompassing and ideologically consistent organism. They made caste a measure of all things and the most important emblem of traditions. Colonialism reconstructed cultural forms and social institutions like caste to create a line of difference and demarcation between themselves as European modern and the colonized Asian traditional subjects. In other words, British colonialism played a crucial role in both the identification and production of Indian tradition. The colonial modernity devalued the so-called Indian traditions. Simultaneously, it also transformed them. Caste was recast as the spiritual essence of India that regulated and mediated the private domain. Caste-ridden Indian society was different from the European civil society because caste was opposed to the basic premises of individualism as well as the collective identity of a nation. The silence of this pro-colonial identity and sense of loyalty could easily be used to justify the rule by the colonial modern administrators. So, according to Dix, it was the colonial rule of India that organized the social difference and difference solely in terms of caste. The attempts of downplay or dismiss the significance of Brahmins and Brahminical order is not in accordance with the familiar historical records and persistence of caste identities, even in the contemporary Indian social life. Caste terms and principles were certainly not in universal use in pre-colonial periods. Caste in its various manifestations and forms was also not an immutable entity. However, starting from the Vedas and the great epics, from Manu and other Dharma Sutras, from Puranas, from ritual practices, the penal system of Peshwa rulers who punished culprits according to caste principles, to the denunciations of anti-Brahminical reformers of all ages. Everything points toward the legacy of pre-colonial times. It is true that there were also known caste affiliations and identities such as networks of settlements connected by the matrimonial alliances. trade, commerce, and state service in the pre-colonial times. However, caste was also a characteristic maker of identity and a prevailing social metaphor. Caste was not merely a fabrication of British rulers designed to demean and subjugate Indians. It did serve the colonial interest by condemning the Brahminical tyranny. Colonial administration could easily justify their codes to civilize and improve the fallen people. Moreover, the strengthening of the caste hierarchy could also act as a bulwark against anarchy. Here we want to close this lecture or discussion and take rest. Thank you very much for engaging yourself with the self learning podcast.